another episode. I am so excited. November 16th, at TEDxLakeMary is hosting What If at the historic Ritz Theater in downtown Sanford, and we could just not be more thrilled with how this event is turning out. So today I have a few minutes with one of our amazing speakers, Daniel, today. Dan, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Of course. Well, this is a very exciting time. We just got off a few days ago our first ever training call for TEDx Like Mary, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I think what was very evident on that call is, I think you were like 10 minutes early, so it really shows the type of person you are. And that's what I was saying that that's what we were looking for going to TEDx Like Mary. A lot of it is your idea, but also we got to know a lot of the speakers ahead of time, and that really helped. Like who brings that collaborative, excited energy about this stage. So we're so excited. But Dan, before we get too much into TEDx, let's talk a little bit about you and all the amazing things you're doing. So why don't you give a little background about you and what you do right now?
So I'm a personal property appraiser, it's an amazing job. I get to value stuff. That's what I do every day. And I guess about 80% of my business is dealing with estates.
Mm,
And then, the other things, insurance and matrimonial, divorce. Those aren't my favorite, but dealing with estates, it's sort of my passion. And it's kind of like what got me into doing this. And yeah, I just get to evaluate stuff. It is a very cool job. And people always ask me, like, how did you get into it? So I in I used to have a store with my sister, like a family business, and we used to buy and sell whole household contents in estates.
mm,
And and I think I was like 30 years old. And then I had lawyers that said, could you do an appraisal report on this stuff? Because we need it for probate. And I was like, okay. And then they started asking, are you certified? I was like, okay. So I went and got certified and did the course on it. And yeah, that was way back. That's 2000, November 2000. So it's going to be 25 years by the time, in November 16th, it'll be 25 years as a certified official personal property appraiser.
I like the certified, like, yeah. That's great. And I'm glad that you did say that because that was my next question is how did you get into it? So you literally read my mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'd love to know a little bit. So maybe for me, I feel like I'm still feel new to like the adult world, if that's the great way to
Yes.
put it. So can you walk me through a little bit about what your role is? When do people start calling you? And what is your like day-to-day operation with something like this?
Okay. So it's usually for, let's just take, we'll break it down for estates, right? So
Mm-hmm.
somebody passes, and then people are like, okay, we have all these steps we have to do. And one of the steps is evaluating the assets, I call it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the assets, that's all the stuff. It's everything that is not the real estate. So your furniture, your artwork, antiques, collectibles, but it can also be like vehicles. Like if it's a farm, I'm appraising farm equipment. Like it's just boats, RVs, like so. And I'm a generalist, which is really neat. So I'm not just, oh, I can only do the artwork or I can do the
Mm-hmm.
collectibles. So, and the reason I love it is I never know what I'm getting into. Like, you know what I mean? They call you, you come up and you're like, so it could be a massive home. You walk in and they hardly have anything, and you're in and out in an hour. It can be a one-bedroom apartment, and they're a little bit on the hoarding side. And I'm 4 hours later, I'm still like, okay, inventory and stuff. But yeah, that would be it. So they'd call me, and then usually a day or two later, or within a week, I'll go to the actual physical location, and then do the inventory photos and everything. Then I go back to my lovely office here, do the research, compile the report, and then they have a report with the fair market values of what the items are worth. So
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of the day to day. But the
That,
research I love,
mm-hmm.
it's never the same day, ever, ever, ever. So
Yeah, I imagine. Well, quick side point. My grandma passed in 2021, and I was really close with her. I lived in that house, and it's so funny, the things people keep and you don't even realize because then we started
yes,
going through all of the stuff that she had, and she's definitely a little bit on the hoarder side. And I was like, how do you have all like I've never seen any of this in the 18 years I've lived in this house.
yeah,
But this necklace is one of them, and I've been wearing it ever
oh,
since she passed, and it's like the
yeah.
number one thing I get compliments on. So it's so funny, and that's amazing. That's your job. You get to go see, which leads me to my next question is like, have you ever found an item that you were like, Oh my God, this is insane. Like, I kind of want to keep it for myself. I need to buy this at the end. Or like, have you ever had anything like
Well,
that?
so the code of ethics, I don't really,
Okay.
I can't really buy, you know what I mean? Because if you're
Sure, sure, sure,
appraising
sure,
it,
sure.
so
Yeah.
there's a code of ethics there, but trust me,
Gotcha.
there's
Gotcha.
oh, I
Gotcha.
see. I guess I'll rephrase this a little bit. I have to make sure, so I have to do when I'm giving a value, it has to be unbiased. That's the most amazing thing, right? Because we have sentimental value. So there's a word,
Mm,
and it's called the endowment effect. I just did a podcast on that, and the endowment effect is we tend to think our own stuff is worth a lot more than it actually is. So
yes.
what's good for me is I get to go. So I can't even have that if I go there and I go, oh my, I love that. I love that, you know, and but in my mind, I have to turn that off, go in there, be professional because I only have a certain amount of time too. So I go in there, but oh yeah, I see some amazing things. Oh yeah, there's tons of awesome things I'd like. You see stuff and you're yeah, and I guess the neat thing is too is I like to call it I'm in the trenches. Like you know, you said your grandmother had stuff that she didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get to see all that stuff, and it's this amazing story that you can put together where you see people, you know, where
Yes.
especially if they immigrated some from somewhere, right?
Yes.
So you're
Yeah.
starting to see like, wow, like look at this, because I have to ask a question sometimes. Like, say there's silverware, but it's got weird markings. I can't think. And I'm like, well, you know what? Our family came from Bulgaria or somewhere. So I go,
Hmm.
okay, so maybe it's a silver mark from Bulgaria, things like that. But yeah, it's oh yeah, oh yeah, I see some incredible.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
day almost. Yes, yes.
Definitely. Well, it's so great that you brought up immigrants because my grandma was an immigrant. And so we
Yeah.
found all of her immigration papers from
Yes.
1967,
Yeah.
66. And so it's like her American history proficiency test, her English proficiency test.
Yes.
Quite literally their certificate she got from the Republic of China when they finally allowed her, like her, what's it called? Um, like, is it petition, her petition, like, we found
Yes.
all of that, like, it's like, "Oh my god, you've kept this whole time?" Like,
Yeah.
how did we not know that, right? Because 'Cause I'm sure that's another part of your job is you're able to uncover things, and I'm sure people in the house are like, "I forgot I had that. I didn't even realize I had that."
Well, yeah, I guess some of my fun job is like I'll find things for people that have value. They have no idea, right? Like
Right.
I said, the other thing, the endowment effect, where we think that things are more valuable. Then the other times you go in and you're like, I always say, let me look in the jeweler box, and they're always like, no, mom never had any good jewelry or grandma never had any good jewelry, and you're like, just let me look at it, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know, you got a couple $1,000s here of jewelry, like what, right? And
Yes.
sometimes because a lot of times it's stuff they might have inherited it, right? So
Mhm.
it could be 2 or 3 generations, and it's like you
Right.
said, going back to your grandmother, you didn't even know it was there, right? And they might even have forgot they had it, right? So that's kind
Right.
of neat when I get to uncover these neat items. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, like, for me, like, this necklace, obviously, it's beautiful, I loved it, I picked it because I got first pick before all of my other cousins because
yeah,
I lived in the house, so
yeah,
I could
yeah,
just go up to the attic and take it, no one was gonna
yeah,
bother me, so I'm
yeah,
like, "Yeah, I like it," but whenever someone compliments it, I'm almost like, "What do you guys see in it?" Like, it's just, like, special to me because it's my inherently my grandma, so it's like
yeah,
it's funny how we have that perception about our own items, but this is such a fascinating topic, every time you answer a question, I'm like, "I wanna ask another question," but I know we
yeah,
have a limited amount of time, so I want to talk a little bit about obviously your amazing TEDx journey. So how do you
yes.
go from, being a property appraisal? Because I feel like a lot of people look at TEDx, they're like, oh, that's for motivational speakers. Those are for people like people who just always speak on stages 24/7. That's all they do. But then there are people like you just have a great idea or you just really have a message you want to get out there. So tell me a little bit about how TEDx first came to your mind and how you even decided that you were willing to actually apply.
Well, I I love TEDx and
Mm,
podcasting and over the last 2.5 years, I've just been on this real journey of gratitude, journaling, you know, watching podcasts and stuff. And a lot of times you're drawn to TEDx and you do see like, you know, Simon Sinek, different people, they changed the world, you know, Mel Robbins. It just goes on. Like those are the big ones, but it's not that. I found some of my best TEDx are ones, you know, they seem to be on a smaller stage and then you're going, wow, I can really resonate with that. So and because I deal with estates a lot and I deal with, there's a lot of very similar problems that are almost in every single estate. And I'm like, there's a better way. So I started this journey, you know, well, I almost, I, you know, I almost I had a near death experience. I won't get into it. Like when I was
Yeah.
46, I'm 56 now, right? And I
Hmm.
know that's where it started. I didn't know that it started until I started
Right.
thinking of a TEDx talk. But yeah, so getting into doing a TEDx talk, I knew there was I need to get this message out there. I feel like, just we can make people's passing easier. So
Hmm.
and I just see the same problems going on at like this almost every single estate and almost every single person I talk to will tell me a story about,
Right.
about their grandmother or about their parents or, a sibling. So yeah, and I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And then yeah, and just loving the TEDx and then just starting to research, okay, how do you do this? Because you do. You think like, oh, you got to have a best-selling book already, or you've got to be, be this big keynote speaker and speak in front of thousands. And that's what I love about TEDx is they just want people that are trying to make the world better, I guess. And that's
Yeah,
that's what I love about it. So, and I'm just
definitely.
hoping my small little piece on your wonderful TEDx stage will just help, alleviate some of this pain out there.
Yeah, no, that's so beautiful. And I'm so glad that, we're able to touch on that fact because I remember when we were still open for applications, I'd say, we're open for speaker applications. If you'd like to apply, come apply. And people are like, oh, I'm not a public speaker. Like I don't, that's not my job. And I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be your job. If you're willing to speak on a stage, right? And it's not something that like that thought of it strikes fear into your heart and you're going to pass out, then definitely apply because there are so
Yeah.
many people out there, and that's really what we want to look for is like unique ideas and something that people haven't heard maybe, or maybe a different take on it. That's really
Yes.
important because like I mentioned, like I'm younger, so I don't know a lot about this world yet. Like I don't know the first thing about planning out your wills or your trusts or anything like
Yes.
that. I'm
Yes.
very grateful to have parents who are helping me with it.
Hmm.
But me myself, if you ask me to explain what half of these things are, I'm like, I think I know, I don't know. So it's such a timely topic, I think for sure. Really quick before we wrap it up, like I mentioned, we just hopped off on Saturday from our first training call, introducing the entire TEDx journey you're about to be on. So how do you feel now that first call is kind of under your belt going into now November?
Well, I was, nervous going in, which was kind of neat because then you feel like feels like I'm in, high school or college again. And it was kind of that was the nervous energy was really neat. But once we got to meet everyone and understood the process and stuff, there's this, I feel very, very good and comfortable about it. And, I'm still, I know I'm going to be good at the end and I know, but it's going to be this roller coaster going
Right,
up and down
right.
and a
Yeah,
lot of work and ton of work. And I know all that, but yeah, I just feel good. And, the neat thing is the speaker, we're all different backgrounds and ages and yeah, it's spectacular, but we all want to do the same thing, and that's
exactly.
I think this is a good micro for the world. Not
Yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
too in there, but it's like yeah, it's great. We if we're all just trying to do better in the world, we're just gonna make the world better. I know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because it's those small steps that we're all taking as a community that
Yeah.
help change the world. It's not necessarily one person who's going to fix everything. There's no Superman here, unfortunately. However, we can bring that super energy into everywhere that we go. And I definitely see that in you. So I appreciate you so much for coming on, sharing a few
Uh,
minutes about what you're doing and this excited journey that you're on. And I'm super excited for you. And I'm so excited to see how you will evolve through this process. I think it's definitely going to be something to watch. And, thank you again. I appreciate it.
oh, thank you. Appreciate you. I appreciate all you involved because I think you've made us all feel very welcome and we're becoming our own little TEDx Lake Mary family.
Yes,
Like
definitely.
yeah, no, it's I feel really, really, really good about this. So thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That really
Yeah,
makes me feel so great because this is scary. This is new.
yeah,
This is nerve-wracking.
yeah.
You don't know what to expect. So having some people who are there in your corner to support you and be like, I know exactly what you're going through. I feel the exact same way. It just makes it so much easier. So again, thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. And to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or partner of TEDx Like Mary, or you'd like to be here in the event in person on November 16th, 14th in downtown Sanford. You can go to TEDxLakeMary.com and go to tickets or sponsorship, whichever one makes you feel better. And I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you there. Bye.